Good evening, everybody. How are we doing? I actually already see James in the chat, so good morning to you too. Wakey, wakey. Hopefully you can all hear me. Hopefully you can all see me. I think you can do both. And yeah, we're going to get cracking. Just someone let us know if you can hear and see, and then we'll get going. What I would like to say before we do start is, God, I love making those thumbnails all day early because I was thought nice and happy, get it out of the way, Monday morning, thumbnails all set and sent across, and then Bitcoin goes from pretty much 50,600, I think, all the way up to pretty much where we are now, 57,000. Just what I needed. So yeah, we are going to kind of still talk about a little bit of, is Bitcoin a meme? What was its true vision? All that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to lie to you, the predominant focus of today's call is going to be based on where price action currently sits, $57,000. And let's face it, no real signs of slowing up. So what does that actually mean for the price of Bitcoin? Where could we see the pullback? And, we're not far away from all-time highs now. What's that going to mean? We'll check out all of that today. Any questions you got, feel free to drop them in the chat. Thank you very much. And hello to everybody. Right, conversation going on with Jamie and a few others, it looks like. But yeah, without any further ado, let's just dive straight in. Yep, so we talked about it, 57K. And for those of you that haven't been in crypto for longer than 2 years, you've never seen it at this price. But we are back. We are back. Matter of fact, it was end of November 2021. It was the last time we saw it in and around these levels, and it has been a fairly long journey down to 15,000 and all the way back up again. But hats off to the last 4 weeks. We've gone pretty much from 40,000 all the way up to just shy of 60,000 in the space of a month. So an incredible climb there. And even, I'll break this count. So I'll move this screen so it's a little bit bigger. But you can look at the size of those green candles. Very strong, full-bodied candles. A little bit of a breather last week, and then just continuing its momentum to the upside. What does that actually mean for the price of Bitcoin? We're going to look at the price of that a little bit later on. We're going to have a look at some of the other factors when we deal into the news. But so far, so good. For those of us that are majority in the market, this ain't too bad a sight to see. And that's how we should all be feeling, really. Hopefully, most of us are majority in the market. I'm actually around about 94% at the moment, and the remaining I'm probably not going to put in until a little bit later, whether that is leverage trading or into some other tokens. But yeah, the last couple of days I've kind of put everything I've wanted to back in. Dollar's been ranging, not really doing too much, a little bit of a turnover last couple of weeks, but no huge drop off to justify what's happening here. Bitcoin is just moving on its own area. And what I would say about Bitcoin is, now that we've broken, let's just get this chart back up. I'll probably go over this again, but we're going to talk about FOMO. I feel like we are pretty much in FOMO season at the moment. Once we broke and held above 50K, it feels like now the narrative is shifting. And now I'm not saying we're getting a mass in influx of retail at the moment. People are becoming more aware of it. I'm seeing it getting a bit more mainstream adoption, and some random people in the street actually understanding what Bitcoin is. And so I don't think we're at the floods of full retail, but certainly there does seem to be, now we're north of that 50K, there does seem to be an element of FOMO, particularly with how this week has started. But we'll break that down a little bit later on. And Ethereum is continuing to keep its very strong move up at the moment. I think it actually got to 3,300 today, but it has pulled back ever so slightly. But as we discussed last week, that 3,000 level was not going to hold. And yeah, we're through it. And, we've got, one, the fact that Bitcoin is moving, rising tide lifts all ships. Can't even get the saying right. I'm that excited about what's happening at the moment. We've got the potential news in and around the Ethereum ETF and how that may play out. Whether or not it gets approved in the next few weeks, I think it's the end of March. I'm not so certain. I think the SEC, they've tied themselves in knots with what is and what isn't security. So granting an ETF on an asset they can't even classify at the moment may be a bit of a red herring unless they hastily make a decision on that. But it being the biggest altcoin out there, it is moving strong and it is leading the way. It's not really chipping into Bitcoin's dominance, I'll be honest, and we'll look at the dominance a little bit later on. But the fact that this is moving up and still showing strength gives me confidence that the rest of the altcoin market's movement is, I don't want to say justified, that's not a good word I'm looking for, but, genuine. I think that's probably where we're at with that. And then Tau. So Tau's had a bit of an interesting one for us. So we had that, sharp run up. It led Bitcoin by a couple of weeks, I suppose, after having a period of consolidation. Just remember on this chart, it's the weekly chart. And then we had sort of a week of a bit of just sort of standing still. It is climbing up, but it hasn't had that move away like a lot of the other altcoins and Bitcoin has from its recent highs. But, we're in price discovery at the moment, so the standard rules don't necessarily apply in that sense. It may just take a bit more effort for us to get past that 700. I think 692 is the highest for BitTensor. But I do think it's only, a mere moment. Matter of fact, I've spent the last couple of days just buying more Tau, as I think, now is the time to get in, get it staked, and just start reeling in from those benefits. But it certainly is looking strong. And also, sorry, let's just do it on here. For those of you that haven't seen, CoinMarketCap's finally updated itself. So BitTensor, instead of staying at 204, is now position 28. Now, you and I, we're in BitTensor. We know all about it. But I assure you, being on page 1 and in the top 50 of CoinMarketCap is putting a lot more eyes on this. And there'll be some people who actually know the top 100 quite well and wonder how the hell BitTensor has jumped from wherever it has to 28 and may click on it. But yeah, this is going to get more eyes on it. Let's face it, it is a confusing project to the layman. It's a confusing project to me, to be honest. But any extra eyes we can get on it is only going to help that as long as the market keeps doing what it's doing. I would say I jumped over onto this page here. Right, let's just tackle a little bit of the news, try and clear what I was going to talk about beforehand, and then we'll jump into 57k BTC. We'll give it time to have the Avenger effect and dump down to 40 or jump up to all-time high, and then we'll go from there. And the first thing I wanted to talk about was, and the whole purpose of this, was actually a few days ago, we had some additional, they call it a treasure trove, but some additional correspondence between one of the OG developers in the Bitcoin space and Satoshi Nakamoto. And these were released by, his name forgets he, Marty Malmi. And it's given us some insight into sort of like the early ongoings of discussions, I'm going to say personal discussions. You'll see in a moment. There's not really much personal information that's given, but you can obviously see two people very passionate about a project that is very early in its days, just thrashing out problems together, trying to solve it, trying to get this thing going. And yeah, there's 136 emails in total, and it just gives sort of like a nice picture of the early days in and around, 18 months from about early 2009 to, I don't know, the end of 2010, beginning of 2011. Now, a lot of people got excited from this because, we don't know too much about Satoshi Nakamoto, and any extra information we can get to hopefully shed some light onto who this mysterious character or characters may be is going to be welcomed. And there were certainly some interesting nuggets that came out within this. Now, I didn't actually, skip that. I'll continue on this. I'll come back to that train of thought a little bit later on. So this is the sort of the first post I saw. Now, unfortunately, whoever Rizzo is, he didn't post all of them. So I had to actually go and sort of Google, and you go through GitHub. And as I say, Marty actually posted all of these emails himself. So you can actually scroll through and read all of the emails. And as I said, there's a lot of excitement because we thought we might get some insight into Satoshi himself. Now, I'll be honest, after the first 5 minutes of reading these, I realized that my excitement soon turned to, I'll be honest, boredom. Because they are talking about technical things in how to, work around coding issues that they have, programming issues that they have, how they're going to sort of like, set up the website and everything else. And it is actually very clear that Satoshi, I wouldn't say deliberately, but he hasn't given away any personal information about himself. There's no, how's your day today? What do you get up to on the weekend? How the family or anything like that? It's nothing. It's every single correspondence is all business. But it's interesting what you do stumble across. And I'd say you can scroll down here. It's an awful lot. And I mean an awful lot of emails, because unfortunately, they're just, it's got like previous emails attached to them. So you just scroll down, you're rereading the same things over and over again. But it has broken down each of them individually. But you can kind of also see how Bitcoin grows, because they start talking initially about how they're going to present Bitcoin, or even start talking in minutiae of what are the frequently asked questions, how are we going to word it on the website to determine how we can explain to someone what Bitcoin is and the power it's going to do. And Satoshi, I can't find it, but he goes into the thought process as to why he chooses the amount of sats, Satoshis, as we call them, for each Bitcoin. And there's some sort of thought process in himself. You can feel the inner monologue when you're reading them about, is this going to be a success? Well, if it is, then we've got to make it comparable to euro and how much the price of euro can be. And that was interesting. A lot of the stuff he talks about is in the euros, and I wonder if that is a clue that some people will latch on. But he's sort of working about decimal places, and we need to have it so that it is what's the word I'm looking for? Fungible, I suppose. You can break it down enough if it does take off, but if it doesn't, it's still an overall number that you can use that could not undermine it. So he openly admits that the 21 million just came from a bit of a stab at the dark, and the 100 million Satoshi, was just let's just suck it and see how it works out. But yeah, interesting to read through. Some of the other kind of stuff I thought was quite interesting is, we'll think of this individual, shall we say, and there's some people that think it's the NSA and all of that kind of stuff. But there's some like colloquial language that he actually uses. Things like "we're screwed." They're screwed because they were getting spam blocks when they were trying to allow registrations without email verification. They turned the email verification on, and suddenly all emails were then getting blocked. And this is a time where they were trying to ensure that there was constant throughput and there was no downtime or anything like that, because we were talking about a really new thing here, and anything that made it too difficult, and it was already difficult, you had to be in the know about it. They just thought they might lose interest. But terms like "now we're screwed," and he later on, I'm not going to dig him more. We're in kind of a jam here, he says, and I'm just going to chuck $1,000 at it. Like that kind of language kind of really just put a human side towards it, and that feeling of now NSA and some dark organization. I'm like, the way the emails are written certainly doesn't feel like this is an organization. It is one person and their passion project, which was interesting to read through. And then one of the things that goes in and talks about is down here. That was a screenshot which I found it on, but I've gone and found the actual email itself, which was on the 11th of August 2010. And it talks about, I deposited a donation to a bank as euros. The donation was actually for 3,600, not 3,500, and he miscalculated it. Fine, he's human. But what people are latching onto now is this actually a way to dox Satoshi? Because there weren't, you got to remember, $3,600 back in 2010 is a lot of Bitcoin, okay? And what they were doing at the time is you could buy it from a marketplace that was set up by Marty. But some people were just buying straight off Satoshi. I'm not sure how, it doesn't explain within there, but he does mention it. And they were buying it at a higher valuation than what it was. And it was generally because they were donating to him to help him keep the site running, etc. So he then goes on to tell Marty that he's now taken that donation that was made and he's deposited in the bank. And so people are saying, well, wait a second. Sometime in and around the 11th of August 2010, we should have seen a transaction equating to that amount, and if so, could we then follow it on the blockchain, etc., and try and find it? I don't know. I'm not a internet sleuth like a lot of these people. We'll see whether or not that kind of stuff does help, but we've had no announcement yet. But maybe, just maybe, it might help us. And then I want to get on to this. So a lot of you probably saw this. Of all of the emails that came out, this is the one that I think I saw retweeted, talked about. I think it was even posted in our group as well. And it was Satoshi Nakamoto. And let's just read it. Random question. But what do you think about Titcoin instead of Bitcoin? I think people might pay more attention to it since it has tit in the name. Either way, I got titcoin.org just in case, and it's signed by Satoshi. And this got a lot of people very excited. A lot of people were screaming, this is probably Elon Musk with that kind of language, and sort of moving around it. So I was like, okay, I've seen this screenshot here, and what's Satoshi thinking? Like, I've read some of these emails, and he seemed very serious. And what we known about him before this, a very serious individual that is trying to do this for the betterment, etc. And then we have this total right-sided discussion about rebranding it to Titcoin, because he's obviously thinking male-based audience to start off with. You got the word tit in it. People might just click on it just to see what it is. And it just, I don't know, something just didn't sit right with me. But this just got retweeted and retweeted and retweeted. And I thought, well, is he trying to make it into a meme coin? Is that what it was originally? Was just, sod it, we're going to throw some random tokenomics in the air. We're going to put 100 million Satoshis per Bitcoin. And then, we'll call it Titcoin. And off we go. But like absolutely everything that you read on crypto Twitter, check, check, and check again. Because this email here, this screenshot here, does not appear anywhere on the email lists. Okay? So the 2nd of May 2009. 2nd of May 2009 is the very first email that's sent. And I can assure you, it's not in there. Okay, the very next email after that is sent on the 3rd of May. So everybody that got super excited about Elon Musk and Satoshi Nakamoto, and this got over 1 million likes and about 50,000 retweets, etc., it's complete bollocks. And if you had read just the very first email of this, you would know that actually it wasn't. And think about it. Why would Satoshi, who's trying to make something legitimately serious, start talking about the word Titcoin? It just doesn't make any sense. So then, well, who did it? And it was this guy, old Walker America. And guess what? The title of his podcast is called Titcoin Podcast. So all he had done was a very clever bit of marketing where he had just completely created this out of thin air. And everyone bought into it and just thought, yeah, this is it. And this is just one of the retweets that I saw. This one alone got 400,000 views, 2.2 likes, and all of that. It's just not true. Sadly, Satoshi never thought to call Bitcoin Titcoin. I'm glad he didn't. But I can't believe how quickly people just latch onto any kind of information. And it is a humbling reminder, guys, that everything out there is likely being manipulated. So check, and check again. And with that in mind, I actually think this is probably an ideal time to talk about it. Any of you that stake Polkadot via the Fearless wallet, see what this is. You may have found that since the 18th of February, you've not been getting your rewards. It is a bit of a laugh, Jamie. You're absolutely right. Of course it is. And it's a great piece of marketing. I don't diss the guy for doing it, because every sucker in the world went in it. Because I think he even, on one of his posts, goes, and the web domain's still live. So everyone would have checked that as well. So I think it's brilliant. Well played to Mr. Walker America. And more fool us for being the suckers that fell for it. But just thinking about double checking. So for any of you that are in Polkadot or any token that's on the Polkadot network using the Fearless wallet and you are staking with it, as of the 18th of February, you will have noticed that your reward balance has not been increasing. So I certainly did. I certainly checked and mine weren't. And so I obviously want to understand why. Someone in the group reached out to me privately as well and said the same. And I thought, well, I'll do some checking. So went to crypto Twitter, as you do. Can I check it on here? And I reached out to Fearless, and someone from Fearless Wallet Support emailed me back. And so they basically told me to follow this link here and it would resolve it. Now, I did. I clicked on the link and it wouldn't load the web page. So what the hell's going on? It wouldn't load it. So, a little bit of a red flag there. Why is that web page not loading? I couldn't find it through a Google search either, which I went back to them on and spoke to them about. So I tried to do it through the Brave browser, and it did open up. However, I was immediately given a warning that this was a widely reported phishing site. And I didn't take it any further, just closed it down. It's fine now. Using the Brave, I felt very comfortable because I have run subsequently since there's some security through the PC, but as I didn't actually activate into the site and I don't have a extension browser or anything like that, I don't feel that my wallet is particularly exposed or anything. But had I have not done my due diligence, had I have not just been skeptical from the start, I probably would have just clicked on that and off we went. So then I went onto the Fearless Discord, the Telegram, and I spoke to some of the admin there. They said that this, wherever it was, Fearless Wallet, they don't run a support on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And so, yeah, it was definitely a scam website. Now, they then sent me through a couple of steps in which I could check to go on the subscan and actually see that my rewards were still being granted. However, what's basically happened is, and the code has come out in the Telegram and explained this, that when they updated the app on the 18th of February, there was some sort of error in the coding, and that is not, it's just not catching, not just on Polkadot One, quite a lot of the tokens that they have. It's not a quick fix, and it's something that is going to take some time to resolve, but it is on their priority list to do that. You can still go on to Subscan and have a look and see. So let's just see. So if you go on to Subscan, so this is probably niche because not all of you are on it. If you go on to subscan.io, you type in your Polkadot wallet, you go in there, you hit search, it will show you what your stake and rewards are, and you can take it from there. Now they actually told me to authenticate my wallet, and again I had to go through a website in which they asked me to put my mnemonic phrase in. Now I haven't, I'll be honest, maybe it's just because I almost got caught again today and I just didn't want to do it, but I was like, I'm just not going to do it yet. They proved to me that they were admins of the Fearless wallet, and I totally get that, but I didn't see the urgency to necessarily put my seed phrase into a website which I've never been on before. Now, it means I'm going to have to go to Subscan every day or however on I want to check that I am getting the rewards. I'm just going to have to wait until they update the app. Right now, that feels like it's the safest thing for me to do because everyone in crypto is out to manipulate and scam you. And that should be our absolute bottom line anyway. So for any of you that are having that experience, by all means, go on to their Telegram, speak to someone, and they will show you that step that I didn't take. And if you feel comfortable, then follow it through, and apparently it will authenticate your app and it will be resolved. Otherwise, I'm just going to wait a couple of weeks, see if they update the app. If they don't, maybe I'll then pluck up the courage to do it. But there's a lot, although I have split my Polkadot wallet down, each one still has a decent amount in, and yeah, it might be an inconvenience that I have to check Subscan rather than just the handiness of a wallet. But right now, that feels a bit safer. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Sorry, digress from there, but it seemed like an ideal time. So instead, let's talk about AI. And a lot of us are in AI tokens, BitTensor being one of them. I don't know if any of you are in Claw or in Cubic or any of those, but they have been rallying. They've been rallying very hard. And they've been rallying very hard for the last week. And there's no surprise when you hear that NVIDIA's earnings were well above expectation. They came out a few days ago, and that seems to have helped kick in the AI drive. Now, for those of you that aren't necessarily aware, NVIDIA create graphics cards, very powerful graphics cards. And in previous years, their focus has always been on, well, not always. Yes, they do it for gaming, but they've always had a set amount, and rather a high percentage that's been allocated to crypto mining. But about 18 months ago, maybe 12 months ago, they announced that they were going to stop that focus and focus more towards the AI sector. And that's what they have been doing. And ever since making that decision, they have been climbing. Now, we know the likes of Elon Musk and Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. I mean, they announced they bought 10,000 GPUs off NVIDIA for their AI. 10,000. They are not cheap. And we know other companies are going to be needing them as well. So although NVIDIA aren't necessarily creating, although they aren't creating these for crypto mining, I keep on wanting to say Bitcoin mining, but it's not, because you can't use a NVIDIA graphics card for that. But anyway, we are feeling the benefits of it for those that are in AI, because obviously AI is a very big sector at the moment within the crypto space, and we're seeing that sort of come on leaps and bounds. And that is in no small part not solely 100% down to NVIDIA, because there are other graphic card manufacturers out there. But the fact that they are doing well and they are producing these, it's a good knock-on effect for us. Now, NVIDIA, I think, is the most expensive company in the world at the moment at $2 trillion, which is incredible, really. And to think, I can't remember what they were down at. I think I do actually have their. Some of you may, do the stocks and that. I don't particularly, but I think I do have NVIDIA. So they are at 790 at the moment. And what did we get down to? Let's have a look weekly. Down in the depths of the bear market. Down at 2022, they were 110. I mean, we've pretty much 7x'd since the bottom of the bear market. And that move into AI that they've made. And it was a very successful move. I don't think anyone can necessarily doubt that at the moment. So any of you that are in NVIDIA stocks, well played to you. It's a nice side hustle, if you will, that is intrinsically linked to cryptocurrency and the bull market. And yeah, that's good to see from there. But $2 trillion. It's not the only thing that's at $2 trillion, of course, because that's it. We're finally there. Crypto has actually reclaimed the $2 trillion market cap, albeit through Bitcoin climbing above 57,000. But we're at 2.09, I think. 2.08 at the moment. And the all-time high, remember, is only $1 trillion away. Only $1 trillion. Just rolls off the tongue these days. But yeah, we're only $1 trillion away from that at the moment. So just think about that. I get excited, reserved excitement, obviously. We don't want to get too caught up with this. But we've not seen the halving yet. We've still, if we believe in the 4-year cycle, have got 18 months or so left until getting towards the end of the bull market. And yet we are pretty close to all-time highs in terms of the overall market cap. And bearing in mind where Bitcoin currently is, there are circa 19 million Bitcoin in circulation at the moment. So when we reclaim all-time high, that 12,000 times 19 million. I can't do the maths in my head, but it's going to be, I can't even do it. Someone will do it for me. What 12,000 plus 19 million times 19 million is, what that will add to the market cap without anything else happening. We're going to get to that 3 trillion mark very quickly, just on the help of Bitcoin and its next leg up to all-time high, whenever that may be. And I'm not saying that is the next move. We'll have a discussion on that a little bit later on. And then 3 trillion, and we've got the way to go. And if you think back to some of the pessimistic views we've been having on where the market can be, we've been talking about 4 million as our worst case scenario. I mean, that's slowly starting to get eaten away a little bit now, especially with the amount of time we've got left running. So yeah, really good, really positive milestone that we've recaptured. And it helps bring that legitimacy that we've been talking about for a while. But so does, of course, the spot ETFs, and they continue to crush it. So yesterday alone was, I think, one of the biggest net inflows of BTC. And certainly since the ETFs launched, 45 days ago or whatever it is. And yeah, accumulated. So the nine new spot Bitcoin ETFs crossed over the 300,000 Bitcoin mark yesterday. So that's $17 billion worth of purchase within the last 2 months, which now, when you understand that, kind of puts into perspective, wherever it is. Oops. Just hide all of that. Hide all. Where this pump has come from, this pump from 42 to 57, 15,000 in a matter of weeks. So yeah, it is impressive. Now, I was quite amazed at some of the breakdowns of this, because obviously we talk about BlackRock and how they are just crushing it. I think they got 120,000 BTC, so almost half of all that are owned by BlackRock. This isn't the chart to look at. It's a shame. It's not on their wisdom tree. There they are. They've got, I mean, I'd like to own it as well, but they got 700 BTC. It just feels like, they're just messing around with their food at the edge. 700 BTC is not quite where I thought they would be. But, just skin in the game, I suppose. Whereas BlackRock, as I say, absolutely crushing it in terms of how much they have. And that's on top of the fact that we know that good old Sailor was up to his purchasing again. And I think MicroStrategy now have 193,000 BTC, which is just incredible. So that recent announcement was made this week as well, and I think their average purchase price at the moment is about 31,000. So doing very well. And you think 18 months ago we were all counting down whether or not they were going to get liquidated and all sorts. So really have turned that one around. And then the final piece of this is that Grayscale are finally starting to dry up on how much they are selling. So they only sold $22 million worth yesterday. You can have a look on this chart here. It has slumped down. I know we've had a little bit of a slump down here before, but almost like a dead cat bounce really, and then they're coming back down again. That was the lowest recorded day was yesterday. So yeah, okay, pretty exciting times really. I think so anyway. I think we've got the market in a relatively good place. Why am I using the term relative? We've got the market in a great place. There are some concerns, of course, but with that long-term horizon, even the medium-term horizon, this is a good position to be in. 57,000 with 60 days or 55 days until the halving. I don't think anyone would have thought that would be the case. And the question now on everybody's mind, lips, whatever it is are we going to see all-time high prior to the halving? And just to be clear, the halving is, we just got on here, 53 days away. 54 because it's 53 in 21 hours. So again, what's that, just under 6 weeks away. So we're still looking at middle of April. I was trying to do the maths in my head, but I'm just not smart enough today to work that one out. And nobody in chat has done the 12,000 times 19 million. I was banking on someone there. I have seen that Jamie Nvidia is the one that got away. I think I remember you telling us about that one, and yeah, I know they crush, and it kind of feels like it is just too far away to get back in now, especially when you've seen it as low as 187. Right, let's leave the news behind us. Let's get talking BTC, shall we? So here we are. This is it. I've actually put this on the 3-day chart because we're not messing around anymore with previous price levels. We're getting pretty close to price discovery once again. There are some concerns, as I've mentioned, but let's leave the concerns. Let's just focus on what Bitcoin has actually achieved. And so we look. It's on the 3-day just so I could fit it all in. But let's just drop it onto the 1-day just so we can kind of really get it into perspective. This move up, and I know it was spread over 2 candles. Okay. And I appreciate technically it's 2 days, but actually what we're talking about here is a 24-hour period, because if you take it down onto the hourly and you look yesterday, so here we go, it actually 10 o'clock in the morning, we went all the way down to just below 51,000. And then, where were we? 10 o'clock today, we hit our 57,500. So that 24-hour period is where the climb happened. So that's the justification reason for what I'm going to do. But you're damn right, I'm going to have a look at how much the price movement we've had over those 2 candles. And we'll just do it from body to body. We won't try and milk it too far. But a 10% rise. And now, full bull season, 10% candles they're not everyday occurrences, but they do occur. And it kind of feels like this is it. And again, for those of you that this is relatively new to, hopefully you're in the market, and that is a beautiful thing to see. If you're outside the market wanting to buy Bitcoin, you're cursing yourself for not doing so first thing Monday morning, because it has moved away, and it's moved away strongly. It's not like, again, daily time frame. So middle of January, we had that pullback after the ETF announcement. We consolidated down, it's 40k. It was a little bit lower. We've climbed, consolidate. We've climbed, we've consolidated. Yeah, okay, that consolidation could have gone further, but it's not like we spent 1 day. Thank you very much, Chris. It's not like we spent 1 day just messing around in and here. Spent a couple of weeks just sort of consolidating through, building that strength, and then suddenly The ETFs decided they were going to buy some more. That drove some FOMO into the market. We cleared 52,000 like it was nothing and went straight up to 57,000. And, you know, I still see great strength in the market at the moment. Maybe driven by FOMO, of course. But certainly from a Bitcoin point of view, there is strength. And there's some real psychological targets that it could aim for. The most obvious being 60,000. Nice round number, 60,000. But something that you would see as a, I'm going to have to go back onto the 3-day. See as a potential level. And if we draw some previous price levels, and I know usually I draw these rectangles as areas that it might turn around, but I'm actually trying to do it now to just illustrate how prices got there before. So 59 to 60. There we go. Move it across. Should have drawn this earlier. You'll be grateful to hear that for a lot of the other charts I have already. But yeah, it was an area of interest, and I feel like this will act as a magnet. This will absolutely act as a magnet. If we can, maintain, we break the 57,000. If we can close above 57,000, then I feel like 60,000 is almost inevitable in the next run up, because it's just a psychological level that I think people will happily head towards. And also, we have seen history there before of price just moving up sharply towards that level. Once we get past that, and again, this is on the 3-day, but I can assure you it's on other time frames as well, we get into one of the last vector candles that we've still got remaining, which is, it starts at 61,000, finishes at about 62.5, so the halfway point is around about 61,750. And again, it would not surprise me at all, again, if we can close today above 57,000, see it take to 60, and maybe even wick up to take the 50% of this level here before we potentially could see some form of pullback. And I know I'll be the first to hold my hands up here and say I've been talking about a pullback for weeks now. The pullback is inevitable. It's just hard to determine when it's going to be. And I sold my BTC at 50,000. I'd had a good run up from 15 and 20 and whatever levels I bought at, and I've moved it into some altcoins. So, I could have held on for a bit longer, and with way Bitcoin dominance has gone, I might have squeezed an extra couple of 100 or 1,000 out of it. But I'm quite happy that I've moved it where I have, and we are where we are with that one. But yeah, these would be the first two levels that I'm looking at, and that's without me drawing anything else on the chart. Just we've got a vector candle recovery here, which just seems begging to be called out for, and then we've also got that psychological level. Actually, I should say the psychological level first. Now, we are looking overextended. We can't deny that. But we had a similar last week, beginning of the month, so 2 weeks ago. And yeah, 9 days of continuous growth. Remember, these are 3-day candles. And yeah, we were overextended. Maybe we would have thought we were going to get that 50% pullback to around about 45,000, but we didn't. We just happened to consolidate in and around that level. And I do feel that 57 is an important level. And as I say, if we can break above it, and I'll show you why it's an important level in a moment, then that might be what we end up doing, consolidating and bouncing between this before that next leg up. So yeah. Now, let's have a look at high block. The reason I'm looking at high block, is this the right one? I'll come back to high block. One of the things that we do need to bear in mind, and I think it's only fair that we look at the other side of this, is I do think there's strength in the market, and I do feel that we're either, going to have a sharp move quickly upwards. I know we've been having a sharp move upwards. But I do feel at some stage, I assure you, we are going to get that pullback. Okay. I don't know when it's going to happen, and I don't know how much of a pullback it's going to be. But we cannot go up forever. We know that. Even in bull seasons, we have to have pullbacks, and we have done nothing but up, for the last 4 weeks. And strongly up as well. So it's getting to a point where we're feeling a bit of parabolic at the moment. And so, yeah, I do expect some form of pullback. Now, if we have a look at, the areas I like, we've already got previous price action. We're looking left. Let's throw a fib chart on. So let's go, we're on the 3-day. So I'm just going to go wick. Okay. Because I know I like body to body, but I've had to put it on the 3-day. Trying to get it exact as possible. Wick. It's a wick. Look at that. I'll zoom in now. So you know that was top of the bull to bottom of the bear, and it has wicked to the exact level that we have just hit. So 57, I'm going to change it. If we can break 57,600 and hold above it, then I feel we may consolidate there and look to hit 60,000. But right now, other than that, we have hit this level. You know, that would seem like an ideal point to turn around at. An ideal point, especially with the exactness in which we hit it. Where's the rush? That was the worst circle I've ever done. Apologies there. And where could we potentially go? Well, what is my favorite figure? My favorite figure of all is the 618. 618 is 48,500, which also, I might add, is a pretty much a 50% pullback from 38,000 to 57, it's 19,000. We're going to drop it by 10. It's almost that 50% level, which also takes into account this vector candle. And depending on how long we get there, we may have the 20 EMA coming up with us, or really drag our feet of it. We may end up having the 50 EMA. So a lot of it is contingent on whether or not we hold 57,600. But if we don't, and we start to see other factors take over, then that is my target. And I'll be honest with you, whilst there is a max pain option, of course there is, what little I have left, I may look to start buying at this level and just accept that if it goes lower, it goes lower. It'll be a temporary thing. You know, I don't know how much of a pullback we're going to get. Now, we'll go over max pain in a moment. But the other contributing factors to, you know, where we are, Google Trends, you know, over the last week, massively spiked up recently. You'd expect that. Getting to all-time high territories. And 57,000, we've not seen that level in 2 weeks, but it's starting to spike. Interest is coming in. That FOMO that I was talking about, once we breach that 52 level, it does feel like FOMO is coming in. People are waking up to it. Where's Bitcoin at? What are we doing? But also, let's not forget, this is yesterday's value, 79. Yesterday's value, BTC, based on BTC being at 54. This is going to breach 80 today. If things stay as we are, this is going to breach 80. And this is what it looks like over the last, 5 years? 80. We have only breached 80. I mean, you can probably count it in all your fingers and toes, to be honest. There's a big clump there, maybe not. But in terms of the amount of weeks we spent above 80, not many. We don't really spend a lot of time above 80 for very long. And suddenly, you know, we did spike up into the 90s in that May 2019 pre-halving spike up to 14,000. Yeah, okay, things might have happened alongside or a little bit later or whatever. But I just happen to feel that there's a few things now that are suggesting we've climbed, we need a pullback. Everyone's getting a bit too excited. There's probably people on this call, people in Discord, already looking at where they're going to spend their money in 18 months' time. You know, it's only human nature. You've seen how well your portfolios have grown, and you start to speculate on where it can be. And that's the kind of mentality that unfortunately gets us caught out. I know that's the kind of mentality you don't like me talking about because it's boring, but it's the reality of where we are with that. So, yeah, the fact that fear and greed likely to creep over 80, not particularly a good sign. Trend market's going up. We are pretty overextended. We've hit the 57,600. So everything for me, I'm not going to say this is the pullback. Everything to me is contingent on where we close. If we can't close above 57,600, then I feel that the next port of call for us is a retest of 50 down to 48,500, in my opinion. Jamie's definitely getting a Lambo. Jamie, you cannot fit, I've tried, a baby seat in a Lambo. So there's no chance we get one of those unless you get an Urus, £250,000 for those. But yeah, good luck with it. If I do, I'm going to get the old Bitcoin sprayed on the front, of course. But no, in all seriousness, excuse me, let's have a look at this one. This one's looking pretty for those of you that like it. And then when I got to High Block, I mean, we joke. Do we even need the 28,000 and 27,000 level down here? Probably not. I've updated the rest. I don't even know if this one exists. Why do I not know if this one exists? My chart doesn't go that low. It really doesn't. I have to zoom out to the 6-month chart, and even that only gives me a little smidge of it. So anyhow, this is how it's all updated, and you can kind of see that. I mean, these bars, obviously, they are the areas of interest from high block. Now, this bar in reality should start here. So what you can see is price was teasing it. It was actually almost building support off where all of the long liquidation points were. And these must have been some serious degen longs. But it never quite broke into it, and then we've moved up. And so where's the next target? I am flip-flopping back to the bullish side again. Just to give it the only real target that's showing on high block at the moment at this level here is this on the 1 month. Don't know why it's on that. It comes out a bit cleaner on the 3 month. Hit one. So it's starting to build up in and around here. Yeah, you can probably see it. You can see it now. So that's 61 to 63,000. Well, what was that tying into? It's tying into that vector candle, isn't it? It's right smack over where that vector candle is. So again, you know, shorts, that's max, well, not max pain for shorts, but that's going to be painful for shorts. It's an area in which people would be interested in, and it is a conceivable target for Bitcoin to get to. Now, if we do get to 62,000, we will be less than 10% away from all-time highs. So, you know, we're there. You know, we'll be within touching distance, and I kind of feel that maybe FOMO might take us up to that level. But let's just take it one step at a time. I know we only do these calls every Tuesday, but hopefully on Thursday we'll have a better picture of how this one is turning out in the trading pub, and we can see whether or not it's going there. But that for me is the level to focus on. I think I've said it enough times for you. Mark it on your charts, 57,600. That's what I'm looking at least. 2023 Euro second hand in Australia is over £300,000. There you go. I should warn you. So I know someone that's got an Aventador, and his standard service yesterday every year is about £13,000. Changing the tires and the wheels and all sorts, it's like 25k. It's not actually buying the car; it's maintaining it. That's the problem. But not wanting to, you know, bring anyone down to earth. Yeah, imagine that on the school run though. You'd be definitely asked some questions rocking up to the schoolyard in one of those, especially with a big Bitcoin logo on the front of it. Anyway, let's leave Dreamland behind for a moment. There's one other thing, you know, that we... What do I want to talk about first? Okay. I don't know if he's on. I didn't see him. Taco. Where's Mr. Taco? I'm not sure if he's on. So, if any of you remember on the last call, Mr. Taco, he opened our eyes. You see, there are people out there that genuinely trade on the position of the moon. There are. I know. I don't buy into it myself at all, but there are people that do that. And those same people, well, not just those same people, those people and others are talking about a painful March. Historically, March hasn't been great for us. Now, last 3 years it has been, but if you look at it on the overall, March is normally not a great month. And so we're at the end of February. It's 2 days ago, because obviously it's a leap year this year, so we got to 29. But come Friday, we're a new month. Let's just see where things are going. But a strong move up, and yet, you know, we haven't really had any negativity coming down. Matter of fact, you look at this: September, October, November, December, January, February. We haven't had a green month since August. A red month since August. So maybe the astrologists are going to be right. Maybe the doomsayers are there. We might actually see a bit of a pullback. March is the month that they believe it's going to happen in. So yeah, we should have a look at that. Maybe next week we'll, I know James is a fan of these, let's talk on Elliott waves and where we are at the moment, and are we finally at wave 5? What's that mean? Maybe we will see some form of correction. Maybe if we're starting to see some evidence of that over the next couple of weeks, we can talk about and explore where that goes. I can't, hand on heart, buy into whether it's a full moon, a new moon, or a half moon. But the people that do tell me that the traders, the people, the big bucks believe in it. And if they believe in it, doesn't matter if I believe in it, we should follow it. I'm not sold on it myself. But anyway, let's leave that there. So let's get this up. This is a chart we haven't looked at in a while. But we're almost at the end of the month. And, you know, these lines now, I mean, look, we've been doing this for so long that we have 3.5K on this. 6K, 8. I mean, capo levels down at the bottom here. But the rest of them, you know, last couple of months, we've played in between these levels quite well, and 59,000 is the last one. 59,000 seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 closes interacting with it, and then we've had 2 months where it's actually been above it, but it didn't manage to maintain it. Where's that 59,000? It's at the psychological level of 60, of course it is. So we are really at a pushing point in terms of where we can go. I think it, for me, kind of feels like it is a bit of a coin flip. I do think that FOMO may take us somewhere in the short term, but I will stand by it until I turn into capo myself. We need a pullback, and I don't need one. I'm in. I prefer not to have one, but we can't continue to not have a pullback. At some stage, we will have that pullback. That pullback is probably going to hurt alts more than it's going to hurt Bitcoin, but it needs to happen. It's healthy for it to happen. What I don't want to be seeing is, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months. We're at 6 months of climbing. You know, 7, 8 months straight is going to be, it just feels that the more we climb in the green, I feel the harder the correction will be, potentially the longer the correction will be. So I just want to get it over and done with, honestly. One final thing on BTC, and it's something that we've talked about a little bit here, but I can't unsee it, and that is bearish divergences. So price is going up, the RSI, however, is going down. That's the daily, okay? The 2-day still exists, okay? Because I'm changing the scale, sometimes it's not quite, but you can see that's going upwards. This is still arcing downwards. You can probably even make it a little bit steeper if you wanted to. 3-day, still there. 5-day, still there. It's getting a little bit shallower, but it does break. It just is still a bearish divergence by the smallest of margins. It is. And we've still got quite a lot this week. So it does potentially break on the weekly. But on the daily, the 2-day, the 3-day, the 5-day, we are posting a bearish divergence. So, you know, we're running out of momentum whilst we're climbing up. Again, we've said this many times before. It's not something that we can use to trade. It's just potentially giving us a warning that something may happen in the future. Brilliant. Politician answer this. Something may happen. It's likely that a correction is going to happen to reset price against the RSI. Normally when you see price climbing like this, you'd like to see the strength of it going up, but we're seeing price go up, but the strength is diminishing, which usually shows that buyers are getting tired. Unfortunately, that means correction time. Let's get back to some of the chat. Crypto Crew University were talking about a possible BTC triple top before moving back down, i.e. rejection at that point. Who knows? I mean, let's just... Okay. So I assume what you mean by that is point number 1, point number 2, point number 3. Here's my issue with the triple top, potentially, is this. That period there. Okay? Because it didn't conform to the 2 original peaks if this was a triple top. And it didn't create a base that tied in with the left-hand side. So it's not there. What looks cleaner to me is a double top here with the neckline that then played out to the downside. And lo and behold, we're building back up. So I'm not ruling anything out, okay? But I don't personally see the triple top. I see 3 touch points at a similar level. Whether or not I call that a triple top, I'm not so sure there at the moment. I think I'm going to just... I'll happily say well played to Crypto Crew University if that does play out that way. But yeah, I mean, had price have just sort of stuck around in this area, yeah, and we'd bounced around, and this didn't exist. Try and scribble it out. we'd sort of gone on there and gone back, and then fine, we're forming some sort of thing. But the fact that we have seen this follow through down there, the gap between the three peaks as well, I just feel like whatever's happening on the right hand side, I don't want to use the term independent because it's all price action, it's all relative to previous price action. But potentially this TA pattern that it's forming is in my opinion not linked to what I would have classed a clear double top. So, yeah, so that's just my thoughts on that one. Happy to be shot down if it does transpire. I mean, if it does, let's be honest. If it does, and this is supposed to be a triple top, that's your neckline at 15k. I mean, that's destroyed the 4-year model if that happens. So, does the BTC price going up and the RSI going down have anything to do with money purchasing shares via ETF as opposed to buying and owning the BTC? Well, not really, because we're not worried about individuals buying the shares, because the entities, the ETFs, are buying the actual physical Bitcoin in inverted commas. So I don't think it has too much necessarily to do with that. Does also RSI also take into account volume outside? No. So I mean, I'm not an expert on ETFs, and I've never partaken in any of them or anything like that. But ultimately, as I understand it, and I probably don't understand it, but as demand for the ETFs increases, the suppliers of them, the black box et al., they're buying more and more physical black box, and then they can then apportion that as a share ownership to those that sign up for it. And the overriding thought process is that demand is going to continue, because there's only a finite amount of Bitcoin. There's only a finite amount of Bitcoin available on exchanges, and that's the whole point of why people are throwing out some pretty wild numbers. 400,000, 2.3 million, I think Kathy Wood has suggested Bitcoin might get to. Excuse me. And that's all to do with the supply. The supply just totally drying up, but the demand still being there, and so it being the institutional supply. But let's face it, Bitcoin does get to 100,000, 400,000, a million. We are taking that out of the hands of retail now, aren't we? Retail are very unlikely to come in and buy one whole Bitcoin. They may strive to get it through trading and the end of a bull season. They may be able to turn their stablecoins into a Bitcoin, but to just come in as retail and go, I'm going to buy $1 million worth. So then we are relying on the institutions, the ETFs, etc., to keep that going. Now, of course, Bitcoin can be broken down a lot. So the dream is not to own one Bitcoin, it'll be to own 0.1 of a Bitcoin or whatever. So that will still help move it. But yeah, I think I didn't really answer your question. I bubbled past it. So yeah, again, feels like there could be a question, but there's no time frame with this. This could continue going up, and we could just keep on drawing them, and suddenly it's not only the weekly that's out, the 5-day gets ruined because this suddenly catches up. And then a couple more weeks happen, the 3-day doesn't play anymore. Of course, not every TA works every time, but can't unsee. And I didn't even go down to the 12 and the 8, but I'm sure the 12 is showing it. It is showing it quite clearly. So, and this is going all the way back to October, remember? And yeah, except for the weekly and likely the monthly, every time frame is showing a various divergence. Enough said. Not sure what that one's going to be. Okay, let's just see. No more chat there. I was hoping this was going to be a bit quicker than the previous ones, and we look like we're potentially moving towards that. Two of the same charts. We might come back to BTC, but let's have a look at some others at the moment. Let's have a look at altcoins. Let's start with Ethereum, and then we'll work our way across. So I should have done this a little bit better. Just move this across. This is something that I've had done for a while, which basically is just fib level from bull market to bear market on the weekly time frame. And then all I've done today is just add where some of these areas of interest are. And what is interesting is, so we talked about Bitcoin hitting the 786. Ethereum's on its way up, but look what it's also running into at the moment. So it's had a great run up. That 3,400 level is an area of interest from previous times. So it's the fib retracement, of course. But we've also got, you know, base of shoulders, top of shoulders, etc. It runs into. So 34 to 3,500, I think, is quite an important level. And again, like BTC, it's a weekly time frame. But look at that, 5 strong green candles in a row. You know, it's up 30% in the last month, which is, for me, I found that, you know, very strong, very positive. Someone that doesn't really like Ethereum, don't own any Ethereum, you know, it's good to see that it is doing well. I feel it helps me with the rest. But again, levels that I'd be looking at was 618 at 2,600. So we've got, it was interacting with it only as early as last month. But also, if you have a look at where we went in the bounce before we had all the problems with Terra Luna, etc., that was in around 2,600. Again, summer crashes, all of that in and around there. Sorry, that was the late summer, not the spring crash. So yeah, that's where I'll be looking at. Now, if price action has been built, and look at this is near vertical. I mean, I'm going to look at some other altcoins which at least had some sort of like stagnation for it. But if this is based on ETF hype as well, and the ETF is rejected, well, you know, we could see that correction come down. Now that could be good for altcoins, because you go back to that alt or the crypto purchasing cycle, Bitcoin, Ethereum, blue chips, degens. You know, people cycling money out of BTC after the ETF announcement into Ethereum. Ethereum pumps. Some sort of news event drives people away from Ethereum. Now, of course, if the whole market's going down, then we're running to stables. But it could be just a natural float into other altcoins, and we start to see that alt season coming along. And as I promised, we will have a look at Bitcoin dominance a little bit later on. But yeah, that feels like a, you know, a nice level for me. Dot, oh man, Dot is almost sending me to sleep, and it's sending me to sleep because I look at it and think, oh wow, I've only 2x my portfolio because my average buy is at 4. We're only at 8. You know, what a thing. But Dot, to be fair, has been consolidating between these two ranges, which are kind of tying in with the 236. We did almost get up on this spike here to the 382, but we just haven't quite got there yet at the moment. So I know a lot of people would not be necessarily interested in the 2x at the moment. I'm still very happy with a 2x, particularly with my staking that is coming in. And I feel that fundamentals, you just have to trust me because I do a lot of research on Polkadot. I like it. I'm not telling you to buy it. I think it's got a great alt season ahead of it. I think some fundamental changes are coming in, which is only going to push this price up. So I'm kind of happy for it to consolidate where I want it to go. Obviously, $9. Got to break and hold $9 for me. That's the key level. I'm not even too worried. I mean, you go straight into 10, don't you? I didn't want to make this box too big. But right now, the $9 is it. And then straight afterwards, I suppose we do have to break the 10. And then we can go from there. That's what I'm looking at. James, if you pull the wick from wick, if you pull from the wicks, we are running into the 618 golden ratio soon. Let's have a look. I have mine on logarithmic. You obviously have yours on linear, but you're absolutely right. But look at it on linear, okay? So all I've done there is run it to the wicks, and I've just pressed it. And the 618 falls exactly in that level that we also identified as a particularly difficult level. So, yeah, I think we're right there. Let's have a look. I think I'm done with Dot. I'm going to come on to Tau because I know everyone wants to have a look at Tau in a bit more detail. He's on Binance. There's a lovely looking meme coin. Dot is dead. Yeah, dead. A lot. I hold quite a bit of Dot, and I'm thinking about buying the meme. Yeah, so the other thing you've got to bear in mind, if you are a Polkadot holder and you're holding it on the likes of Nova, I don't think Ledger counts if you're holding it on Polkadot.js or on Fearless, and there are a few others. It's airdrop season soon. So just by holding it in those wallets, you are going to get entitled to some of the airdrops. I might try and do a little bit of next week's call on some of it. The problem is I know not many people are into Dot, so maybe I'll just post it in Discord. But yeah, let's have a look. I'm trying to find ones that I've drawn on. Done Ethereum. Any of those? HBAR. So HBAR is one that I've got into relatively recently, but again, it's had a really nice run. From pretty much 6 cents, it got all the way up to 12. It has retraced a little bit, but now we've cleared this previous zone. So what I would expect to see is hopefully some sort of consolidation around about 9.5, and then come back up. And the next battle for me is 238 and then around 14 cents, where I'd like to see that one moving towards. Nakas and Nakamoto Gaming is one that I recently got into, and boy did I screw the pooch on this one, because it's been on my watch list, and I watched it from all the way from up here all the way down to here. Still didn't buy it, and I've ended up buying it just now at like 193. So yeah, it's one of my more recent purchases. But again, what's it done? It's kind of gone all the way up to the 3. Am I on? Let's go back to log. Okay, yeah. It doesn't have the price history of the others, so it's moved it up quite a bit. But this is lined up there and lined up there. I thought it didn't. So we're bouncing off the 786. We've come back down to this area of interest, but we're stuck. And I worry, actually, now that I look at it on the weekly, could this be a double top? Not all altcoins are doing well in this recent pump. Prime example, GFAL, Gaming for Life. This is another one that I degened into around about 38 cents. And you think about what Bitcoin, Ethereum, every other altcoin has done. This bad boy just knows nothing but down at the moment. I kind of just resigned myself to where I'm at, and I'm just going to hold on to that for a little bit. Near has woken up recently. Near's done very well, and I'm actually pretty happy with the direction that Near is moving into. And I think I jokingly posted in Discord, but it is borderline true that if it continues on the rip it's on, Near will just by value become my biggest bag soon. It'll overtake Polkadot. It's done so well, and I was fortunate enough to get the vast majority of my Near in and around 1 cent. So it's moved very strongly. But again, we are fighting this 05 level, $414. You can't see it, which is tying in with this previous price action. So if we are going to reject here, then $3 is kind of the next level. And again, for me, it's a decent amount of previous price action below that to suggest that would be an area of interest. I mean, it gets down to there, and then you're talking double top on the weekly, and there's all sorts of things to worry about then. Rose again has had a very nice move up, run into the 0.5 level, but it's had a very strong. Again, we were buying thankfully down here. Been staking it for a while. I've actually just gone and bought a few tokens that are off the Oasis ecosystem, and we'll see how those ones play out. But it's good to see that there is the ecosystem that's been developed out on that one. It is showing some strength, and we've talked about Rose and privacy and all of that kind of stuff with what it can do and some of the partnerships it has at the moment. I think it's going to have a very good bull run. But again, it's just working in between these ranges, and a lot of the tokens that we've talked about at the moment, they seem to be working in and around predetermined ranges at the moment. So it's great that they've had these moves, but I feel that these moves are just the tip of the iceberg. And, we may be in for a very boring 12 months, particularly in what I end up talking to you about, because if a bags are already set and we're just watching how it grows, then yeah, we're going to have to think about how we structure some of these calls going forward. But again, good to see Render. I mean, Render actually gets the rocket ship because we're in price discovery, and it has performed well. What does Render do? It uses an awful lot of NVIDIA gaming graphics cards. That's what it does. So as the name suggests, it's all about helping to render and develop, I wouldn't say software, but video processing, etc. And this of all of them has jumped very well. And I got in at 167, which is down here. I didn't get too much of it, but it is just continued to climb. And now that we're in price discovery, maybe we see a bit of consolidation around about that 7 cents, but it is moving like a lot of the AIs are. And I know There's some talk about some of the subnets in Tau and what that can do, and maybe making Render redundant. My argument at the moment is Render has some very strong partnerships, including Apple Vision Pro or Pro Vision or whatever it is. And there can be more than one success story here. So I'm not dumping Render just because Tau has a subnet that's doing it. Render's actually delivering at the moment, and I have every faith that Tau will. But yeah, I'm happy to just keep that diversification in and around those as we sit at the moment. I'll jump onto Tau in a moment, but let's just have a look at some of these other ones. So for the degen meme coins that we've been running at the moment, so here we are with Tau Inu, which, as we said, has now, I don't think I did say, but I posted it in Discord. For those of you that follow them on Twitter, it is official. It is on CoinMarketCap properly now, so the fee's been paid, and we're there. This chart only starts as of today, so you can't expand it any more than that. But again, it's on there, ranked 2,637. I don't think it's going to get the eyes just yet, but you know, it's still going. And for those of us that got in it early enough, it's quite a decent performer. I mean, you know, these levels right down here, quite a way off. In terms of price action, I think my main concern at the moment is we are in a downtrend. It's on the 4 hour. We are in a downtrend. You could argue that there is some form of compression that is potentially forming. So maybe this downtrend. We may get as far down as, you know, just about above 1 cent, taking into account this wick here, and then we see some sort of move up. It is pretty wicky, but yeah, just bear in mind where we're at with that one. And I'd say, and I've said this to a few people in DMs when you've reached out to me, it's a meme coin. Okay, meme coin season can end at any moment. So please, if you feel that you've already made a 10x, at least take your initial off the table. And then, you know, if it does go to nothing and never does anything more spectacular again, then fair enough. And for those of you that do go on Discord and you have a look, and I talked about my meme journey from last March when Pepe and all those things came out, that Ribbits coin that I spent $300 on is worth $8. Okay, that's how quickly memes can end, and I have trillions of them. So, you know, that's when, you know, that was the final bag I held when the music stopped, and so it ended up going where it went. But there's nothing to say that meme coins have any logic in how they move, so just bear that one in mind. Now, if we have a look at Zappies are showing a bit more strength in that we seem to have found a base in and around here. I mean, I would have preferred it cleaner here, but we did breach it. But this top one, it's not 2 cents because it's a decimal to the right, but 21, it's worked off. And the only issue that I have is we cannot seem to get the highs. You know, we're now forming this as our level. And so I'd be looking at what happens at 21. Now, you know, my entry here was not as great, somewhere around about 15. So I've not really doubled to get out as a way for the weekend to try and take anything out then. So this one is where it is. It's still early days. I don't know much about this one. As I said to you in Discord, this is one I've just aped into. I couldn't tell you anything about it. I don't even know who it's, you know, credited to with. And I've just thrown it in there because, hey, what's life without a bit of gambling every now and then? But that same way is if I'm not happy with it, I'll just dump it and move on. The Tau Inu, I kind of feel a little bit stronger towards. I understand its links, and obviously with us all being such positive fans of Tau, then why not support the meme coin that is associated with it? But yeah, this one, it's, I mean, we're on the 1 hour chart here. 4 hour. I mean, 4 hours still heading down towards this level. Trying to see if it looks a little different, but it doesn't. So, you know, if we lose 18.5, then we're kind of in trouble because that was an RT move up here for 0.0007. There's likely not going to be much, and of course, when we try and sell it, you know, slippage and everything else, depending on how big your bags are, this could move very suddenly down if people lose interest. So yeah, for me, this one of the two, because I've just in not as secure a position as I am with Taonu, is the one that I would probably look to dump. And I don't have much, so don't feel I'm a massive bag holder of it, because I'm not. It's a meme coin gamble for me. Right, let's go and have a look at Tau and have a look at Casper, have a look at a couple of others, and then we're going to knock it on the head. I want to do both of those in 15 minutes, if possible. The Tau is kind of close to price discovery, and I deliberately keeping this on the 4-hour chart, mainly because when you look on the daily, there's not too much to say. The one saving grace that we can see, large move up, respecting the 10 EMA. Every so often it's had to take a hop, skip, and a jump down to the 20 EMA, which we saw last couple of days, and it's respected it beautifully, and we're starting to build something off it. We're even above the 10 at the moment. I would like to see us close above that in the next 2 hours or so. And then, yeah, we could start to talk about potentially working our way up. And on the 4 hour, I think it's, for me, it's the same picture. However, I actually am still liking what I'm seeing, because, yes, the 50 comes into play in the 4 hour, but we've even lost it. What has kept us up? Just by looking to the left and finding my rectangle box. Previous price consolidation in earlier on this month has kept us up, and what we're starting to do is, okay, the 50, the 20, and the 10 are all condensed on top of each other at the moment, but we finally started to break away from that noise. We're retesting it at the moment. What I want to see is those three hold. We're starting to build back up, and as you can kind of see, I mean, it's wicks at the moment. Okay, right. I might just throw some controversial out and say one concern would be that they are technically still going lower each time. That one is ever so slightly above where that peak was. So if we can't hold 55, so if we can't hold this level at 600, I think we probably do end up retesting sort of 560 kind of area and seeing where it goes. But looking at it from another point of view, would be we've had the drop down, we've got some form of W there. We're starting to see it with maybe a pullback and then the next leg up. So everything's crucial. The next 24 hours is going to be very crucial here, obviously from the daily point of view, but also just to get another 6 4-hour candles and see how that has progressed through. But otherwise, I'm kind of liking that one. Kaz, I mean, I don't want to call it necessarily a double top, because this is in the way of it to be a double top. But what we are seeing is some form of pattern. I feel that's its next move, to be honest. Down at 16 cents, which isn't a huge move back down, but that's where in my mind it's going to go. And it's a fairly decent level for it, in terms of that. And then if we actually go, oh, I thought I'd be able to do this a lot quicker. 15.5 was that all-time peak down there, so okay, give it a half a cent or two for a wick down. It's kind of interacting in and around that as well. So assuming that the market stays where it is and we start to see that momentum, I feel that this is just a slow correction down, and we may see something up. But I want to see it break. I want to see it break that 17 cents. Now, I personally don't want to see it break that 17 cents. As I said to you, I've got a small Tau Cas play. Now, just to be clear, my chart is inverted compared to what you guys use and what's posted on Discord. So what I'm wanting to see at the moment, let's get rid of these. What I'm wanting to see at the moment is this to move. I bought Tau down here with the intention of selling it into Cas up there. Okay. Now, what you're used to seeing is that. That's what's posted on Telegram. You're looking to see that move down. So Tau's showing its strength. So Cas showed its strength. You swap your Cas into Tau. Now you want to see Tau dominate down, dominate, and the Cas price go back down. Then you'll swap it into Cas, and that's all I'm doing. But I just set my chart up the wrong way around. So that's what I'm doing. So this is my first iteration of it. I only just bought it. So I bought the Tau. I want to see the move up. Hopefully we can get up to this level here. It doesn't matter the number because it's inverted to you guys. And then I looked to buy some CAS, see that move come back down, Tau. And I'm not in it for the CAS. I couldn't care less about the CAS. I just want more Tau. So I've set up in a separate wallet, which has been staked separately, all that kind of stuff, so I can just move it quite quickly and keep track of how that one is developing. Last chart, dominance. Ooh, 4 hours. Let's get it on the daily. Eh? We've seen this strong move up over the last couple of days. But what's interesting is it was still 2% or 1.5% off our all-time high. Not all-time high, recent high. And I just think, yeah, for Bitcoin to get up to there, yeah, we're going to see that price move very sharply. And altcoins got all 2 options. They either dump to allow Bitcoin to do it, or they stay the same. Bitcoin just takes, it eats into all of the extra funds coming into the market. But again, you know, we have seen around about 0.5% from where we are now. 1, 2, 3, 4 attempts and rejections from that out of the 5. So there's no guarantee that Bitcoin's going to go there. And we talked about it last week. When was last? This one here. About this moving down and starting a bit of an alt season, which it did. Unfortunately, it just found a base at 52. It's moved back up. So Bitcoin's taking the reins a little bit, but hopefully we can see that turn around and our alts will start to benefit from it on the move back down. That's what I'd like to see. Whether or not we do, just have to wait and see, unfortunately. I'm with all of it. You know, I feel like I've given a fairly decent opinion from where it's going, you know, over the next few weeks or so. In terms of the really short term, I don't necessarily know, and I do care, of course I do, but I'm happy either way. If Bitcoin goes up, my Bitcoin pal does quite nicely. And if altcoins start to benefit from it, my altcoins are going to do nicely. And if the market happens to drop, well, so be it. I got a little bit on the side. I'll just buy some more. We're too close, in my opinion, for the halving to be worried about sidestepping right now. Now's just, for me, is the time to just use what capital I have on the side to just fill some bags or buy some new projects I'm interested in. But other than that, it's to ride it out. That's what I'm going to do. And with that being said, I will put it over to you guys to see if there's anything you want me to go through or chat about. I think there's too much on the chat. So if there isn't anything, we will have done, maybe not record breaking, but only an hour and 20 minutes, which for me is a damn miracle. Doesn't look like as much coming from you guys. So, you know, first and foremost, thank you for tuning in. I'm not sure about Thursday. Obviously, RT are skiing at the moment. I'm sure going to try and get on that next year. So I don't know what the plan is or the time will be if there is going to be a call on Thursday afternoon, but I will keep you updated as best I can with that. For those of you that have asked in the DM side of things, and my updated portfolio sheet and the top 100, how that's worked, I haven't really updated it since I posted it last Thursday because I was away stargazing in the arse end of nowhere, so I had no signal whatsoever, and I just haven't had time to do it. I'll try and work on that tomorrow, but it is out there. You guys can make a copy of it yourself. Just go onto the Avengers chat and you'll see it. But other than that, I will see you all next week. And yeah, let's hope that we get to see that 60,000 level. That'd be nice. But just for those of you that are trading, and we don't talk about the leverage trading side of things, just be careful where you are. I think there's quite a lot of stuff that maybe suggests we might get that turnaround. So just bear that one in mind. Thank you all once again for... the Delta desktop is now out. Thank you. That's some good alpha you've just provided. So perfect. Thanks for that, Adam. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I shall speak to you all soon. Cheers now.